Coming up next on the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast.
Why would he respect me as a leader? I wasn't acting like a leader. I wasn't acting like a boss. And now all of a sudden he does something that, well, that would cross a boundary.
From your first dollar to your first million, welcome to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, presented by ZenMade. Join your host, Stephanie Pipkin, founder of Serene Clean, as she shares proven tips, tricks, and hard-earned lessons. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, get ready to discover how to build your own cleaning empire. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie from Serene Clean, and in today's episode, we are doing some story times, my first 10 hires. I thought it would be so fun to take a little walk down memory lane and share with you guys all of the torment that I went through in 2019 at 23 years old with my first hires, because as we all know, hiring is one of the most challenging parts of our cleaning businesses and managing employees and dealing with a bunch of tomfoolery. And I will say that you will be surprised potentially to hear that 3 of these first 10 hires are still with me today. Isn't that crazy? 6 years later, they are still with me. Pretty wild. But the other ones, not so much. And so this is the story of every single one of them. I thought it would be a blast to share with you guys and also commiserate, because I know that so many of you guys want to give up on hiring and just go back to being a individual cleaner because you've just had it with these employees and nobody wants to work anymore. Not true, guys. Not true. Lots of great people are out there, but we have to sift through the rubble to find the diamonds in the rough, right? So these are my stories. I may have shared some of these before, but I thought it'd be really fun to consolidate it in this manner. So here we go, transporting back in time. It's April 2019. Stephanie is opening her business. She's about to turn 23. She doesn't know anything about anything, but she is so full of hopes and dreams. And hire number 1 actually never even showed up. That's right. I offered a job to this woman, and she really made me feel super excited. She was so positive and like, yes, oh my gosh, great. And I set up training in ZenMade because I already had ZenMade. I assigned her to my apartment to show up, and we'll go through like an orientation or onboarding or whatever. And guess what? She ghosted me. And guess who cried like a baby about it and wanted to give up? Stephanie. But I didn't give up. I dusted myself up and I tried again. So that brings us to hire number 2. Well, actually, let's go back to hire number 1. She showed up years later for an interview, and I'm not going to say I'm not proud of this, because I would do it again. I did call her out and ask her to leave the interview because we were doing group interviews, obviously, as we do. And so there was a group of people and she showed up to the interview, and I pretended to not recognize her. And I looked at the list of names and said, "Weren't you the one who never showed up?" And she got super embarrassed and I asked her to leave. So that felt good, right? And I still no shame. I'd do it again because she hurt me. Maybe I'm just not mature enough yet, guys, but yeah, whatever. Okay, number 2. I'm just going to call these people by their first initial to protect their anonymity. So let's call hire number 2, which technically was the first one who actually, made it through getting hired, G. So G, I hired on May 13th, 2019, and her date of termination was June 20th of 2019. So she made it a whole month and a few days. And so from the get-go, I was getting complaints. I was putting her onto clients' houses that I had been cleaning because, as a side note, I was still working at my full-time job throughout the day. So I was, it was so scary to basically trust somebody to, take care of my little baby business. It was just born. It's an infant, and I'm already trying to get other people to be cleaning for me because I had no choice, right? I couldn't add clients in the nights and weekends anymore. I was already full. I started getting clients very, very quickly, of course. So that's why I needed to hire right away. And so she was working part-time, and she was getting complaints. And so I was sharing these complaints with her, and she'd said, okay, I get it. I'll do better on this or this, but she also oftentimes had a lot of excuses. So I was just so uneasy. I literally had a pit in my stomach every single day because either she was calling out and I would have to rearrange and go to these cleanings myself, or I would just be like, oh my gosh, is the quality good? Like it was just so stressful. It was so stressful because I knew she wasn't doing a good job, but I didn't know what to do. And this was my very first employee. I did not know how to handle anything. And so I knew she was doing a poor job. And so on the fateful day of her termination, she had 2 cleanings. And so both of them were reoccurring clients, and the cleanings were in Black River Falls. And luckily I had I had to run to that town for my job. And I was like, you know what, let me go check in at her second cleaning of the day, because at this point it was the afternoon and she had already, clocked in and clocked out of the first appointment. Shout out to ZenMaid. I had ZenMaid from day one, and I could see GPS tracking that she had physically clocked in at these homes, right? And so she was still clocked in at home 2 when I show up to do a quality check, right? And guess who's not there but G. And so she is clocked in. She's not even at the house. So I get into the house. We, have used checklists from day one, leaving them behind. She had filled out the checklist and said she did everything, and she didn't clean a fucking thing. All right. That feels like it's worthy of an F-bomb right there. She did not clean anything. And this client had a giant black dog, and so that shed everywhere. And so there was black hair everywhere. And so the next hour and a half, I frantically cleaned that entire house. And I didn't think I had supplies with me. I mean, I was MacGyvering it, right? I can clean a house, I can clean a house with this, right? We're good. And some water. So I just frantically cleaned the place so that it would pass somewhat moderate standard. And the client luckily did not show up. And this was before Ring doorbell cameras were a thing, so that they could actually see all this chaos happening. And so I get done with it, and I'm sitting in the driveway at this client's house, and I text G, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? I see that you haven't clocked out at the client's house. And she's like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. I just finished up. Can you clock me out 15 minutes ago or whatever? And I send a picture of the outside of the client's house. And I'm like, well, that's funny because I've been cleaning here for 2 hours. You clearly did nothing at all. And she's like, I guess I'm fired then. And I was like, yeah, and that was it. She didn't give 2 shits. And so I had suspected that the first client had a shitty cleaning as well, but I didn't know what to do. And so I didn't really know how to handle this. This was a tough one because it's well, what if she did do a good job and I just am going to showcase to the client my ineptitude because I did not quality check this house because it was a 20-minute drive out. And by that time, I didn't. So I sent the bill and I said, how did the cleaning go? And that client responded and was like, oh my gosh, we don't even know how to handle this right now. Our son was home the whole time that G was assigned to this appointment. And apparently she had clocked in the client's driveway, sat there for 4 hours on her phone in her car so that she could trick the GPS tracking, and clocked out. She didn't even enter the freaking house, which is, so she knew that day she was like, whatever, I'm out, I'm done. This is it, which is just, I don't know why you just wouldn't quit then. I'd rather you ghost me so that I won't have to deal with this. So I apologized and thanked that client and said, she has been, this is what I suspected. Thank you. Obviously no charge here. I'll be there this weekend to clean or whatever it is I had to do. And they stayed on as a client. And I was like, she's been terminated and I'm so sorry about this. Right. So that was my very first hire. And so, because I had been suspecting of this, I'm looking at the dates. Here we are on to employee number 3, M. And M started, her hire date was 6/13/2019. And G's last day was on the 20th. So there was a little bit of crossover. Clearly I had known or suspected that G was not going to work out. So I was already hiring. So side note, look at this. I'm hiring all the time, regardless of if I have somebody or not, right? I didn't know if I had hours for M, but G wasn't doing so well. So, M started on 6/13, and she actually was a great cleaner. She and again, I had no training at all, right? We're talking show them for a day or 2 and then be QCing them. But truly, here's a checklist, work off of that. I had no training at all. And so She was a really good cleaner. And actually some of the clients, again, that we got at that time, we still have today, and they had all positive stuff to say about her work. And I want to say, so date of termination that I have is July 12th. So literally 1 month later. So really doing great. And my reason for termination, she ghosted me. She just stopped responding or going anywhere. So just totally vanished in thin air. So now I am 0 for 3 on anybody staying, right? So back to square one. Here we are. Stephanie's cleaning everything, right? Okay. Next hire, S. S started on July 3rd. So again, you're seeing these staggers, right? Like I'm getting an inkling that somebody's not working out, or I'm seeing that we're having a demand, and I'm getting ahead of the problem. So even though I wasn't doing group interviewing, it's crazy that like I was still always hiring at this time. I mean, truly, because nobody was working out, but I had hiring ads. I was talking to people. So S, he was my first male hire as well. And so he started on July 3rd. Like I said, M was fired or out of my system on the 12th. So there's a little bit of crossover there. So S took on all of M's clients. And again, I'm cleaning as well too. It's not like I'm not cleaning. It's just, this is helping with the new clients that are coming on. And S actually stayed with me for 9 months, and he was one of my fires. I fired him, and this one was really interesting. So there were so many red flags. He would hit on the clients. He would flirt with the clients. And this is one of those that I just became too friendly with him. And because we worked together. It was like a coworker almost, as opposed to a boss employee relationship. And that was just not good, because this was a challenge for me in the beginning, is because I talked about this in last week's episode, is that it's really hard when you're cleaning alongside of your employees to not almost treat them like just a coworker, and you become that coworker relationship. And it makes it difficult then when you do need to discipline or talk about quality or anything like this. It was just way too casual of a relationship with this person. And so, as time went on, his date of termination was 4/14 of 2020. And this is really relevant. And it's just crazy to think about this, because if we recall, COVID started in March of 2020, and things started coming out that with different things like COVID pay, or the whole unemployment system it was a chaotic time. So anybody who went through this, it was just, obviously we all went through this, but what I mean is like having a business, it was pure chaos. Never knew what anything was going on or how to handle anything. And this was a situation where I still had work for people, and I ended up meaning I had commercial work. A lot of our residential we could not do, at least during, I think, April and May. Like people didn't want us in their houses, or it was a complete shutdown, but we could still do commercial. And I had gotten the PPP, which was like a grant to cover payroll costs. And so I had the money to pay people for their payroll. And I don't think this had happened at this time, but either way, I was going to do things like I still had work, right? However, it was coming out that, you could basically lay off your employees, and they will have COVID pay. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's all a blur. This time was so chaotic. And again, I'm only in business for a year at this point. And so at this time, by the time that he had gotten fired, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 staff members. I had 7 people, 6 to 7, it looks like, kind of. And what he had done is, in our group chat, because at this point I had, this group of people, he put out in the group chat for everybody to see, basically telling people like we should not be working right now because we could be getting unemployment pay. Like this is a great time to be unemployed, and pressuring me to lay them all off so that they could sit on their asses and not work. And so the definition of insubordination, right? And it was so shocking. I felt I was so disrespected and taken aback by this behavior. I couldn't believe that he had done this. But guys, looking back now, hindsight, what I just described, of course he would do this. why would he respect me as a leader? I wasn't acting like a leader. I wasn't acting like a boss. And now all of a sudden he does something that, well, that would cross a boundary. But I had not established what boundaries were at all with these staff members. And so he shouldn't have done that. It makes a lot of sense because I had not established any reason to, not talk to me that way. Frankly, it's like, you can't talk to me that way. But I had now, a year, or let's see, I had 9 months of him being allowed to speak to me in any way that he wanted to and speak about things any way that he wanted to. So totally like me not standing my ground and holding people accountable to their actions or what the expectation is on professionalism or what is appropriate. That's on me, man. That is totally on me. So I fired him. Like I just texted, I was like, you can't do that. And I fired him. So that was, I guess, it's not one of my first, it is one of my first fires, but yeah, it hurt. I saw him as a friend, and that was just, it was not good. So that was pretty crazy. So that was employee number 4. So he did last 9 months. Okay. Employee number 5 is the very lovely Crystal Davidson, which I'm not sure when her episode is going to drop. And she is my HR manager, and she is basically the, HR coordinator. What is her title? Manager, coordinator, director, HR director. That's what she is. And so as you can see, she literally was my 5th hire ever. And she's still with me to this day, and she has risen to what she is. And so not sure how that happened, but you'll hear Crystal's story more. But in a nutshell, she started with me as a part-time cleaner, just cleaning nights and weekends. Very, very, very part-time. We're talking less than 10 hours a week, I believe, and doing move-outs, things like that. And a year later, she was like, "Hey, if you need any help administratively, like I'm interested in making a career change," because she had a really wonderful career already. And I was like, "When can you start? How much do I need to pay you to make this happen?" And here we are 6 years later. And I'm going to say, you guys can listen to her episode to hear the whole story. This is more about the ones that didn't work out, right? But yeah, so Crystal, she's still with me today. Pretty amazing. So she got hired on July 19th, 2019, still here today. Next hire is going to be Kay. And Kay, it was lovely. She was super sweet, and she was strictly for commercial cleaning only. And the reason I hired her is we got our first big commercial account during that time period. So I hired her. It was a Monday through Friday account for the evenings. I hired her then, and she ended up lasting for 7 months. And she actually quit, and that was because of a new work opportunity that arose for her that made more sense. And the physicality of the work, she had some, shoulder injuries and things like that. And so overall, she was super sweet. Honestly, it was a great experience. And she actually worked with S at his normal or full-time job. Kay also worked there. So how I got her was through word of mouth and S talking about working there, and that I had more opportunities. So no regrets there. She was super sweet and wonderful, just different work opportunity. And honestly, getting 7 months out of anybody at that time, pretty impressive. So very happy with her. So she ended up quitting, March 25, 2020. So still Facebook friends with her, super sweet. All right, on to I keep losing track here. Let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On to hire number 7, which is the very wonderful April West, who is still with me today. She is my payroll administrator, and she started, of course, as a part-time cleaner September 23rd, 2019, still with me 6 years later. So pretty dang amazing that I got these wonderful women so early on. And she started part-time. She was she has triplet daughters. You'll hear her. I'm going to be interviewing her as well next week, actually. So her episode won't air for probably a couple months. I'm not really sure what our schedule is but I'll leave all of those kind of details. But yeah, just the beautiful thing is about the people who started this early, who are still with me, truly there was no training. It was watch me clean for a day, go do it yourself, right? Because that was what it was at that time, what I had the capabilities to do, because I was just so overwhelmed. So they were very, very adaptable and easy to just responsible people. And so, yeah, there she was still with me to this day. So I'll leave it at that. So 2 successful hires now out of the top 7. October of 2019, I didn't hire anybody. November of 2019 brings me P. And P was a commercial cleaner as well because we were getting more commercial. I hired her on November 9th. And I'm not sure how long she lasted. I actually don't have the date of termination. I guess I don't have it for the next one either. But she lasted for definitely less than, I think, 6 months. And the physicality of the job was it because her shoulders couldn't handle the mopping and things at all of these commercial accounts. She was a wonderful lady as well. So both a little bit older, her and Kate, and the physicality of the job with shoulder injuries, back injuries. And she ended up actually reaching out and wanting to work for me again. And I did want to hire her. And then it didn't work. Her personal life was kind of chaotic. So there was some issues there, but I just really liked her. I really enjoyed her. So yeah, really sweet, just physicality, and did not last very long for that. Okay, November, same time period, 11/5. So actually right before P, it looks like. So these two were kind of in conjunction. When the actual hire date happened, though, it was technically before. So this is number 8 and 9. So this is S2. This is Lady S. And she was hired to do residential and commercial. And she ended up working for me for, I believe, less than a year. Gosh, why did I not? Stephanie not finishing anything, just realizing I didn't have their dates of termination here. but she, I know, worked for me for probably 6 months. It had to be through COVID. She quit during COVID. I know she did. And this is why I know this. So she quit for personal reasons. That's what I had listed. But I will say she called me, and this is why I'm keeping everybody anonymous, because she asked me to do some shady shit. So she reached out to me and asked if I would list it as she got laid off during COVID. Actually, this is how it happened. Now I'm remembering correctly. She quit right before COVID pay stuff was announced. And so like she quit, right? She did not get fired. She reached out to me weeks later and said, hey, it would be really cool if you said that you laid me off instead of me quitting so that I can get this unemployment juicy COVID pay. She asked me to commit fraud. She literally did, right? And so the audacity, right? Oh my gosh, S. And so obviously I did not do that. And I think I called it out of like, hey, that's not cool. You can't ask me to commit. I mean, you can ask me whatever you want, but do you realize why would I do that? Why would I put myself at risk, commit fraud for you? You quit. You're not benefiting me at all. 1, 2, it's illegal. I would never do that in the first place. Just the risk, the things people will ask of you. And I know people get annoyed when I say that employees are like children. Humans are like children. We all have this inner person, and we are going to sometimes test that line. People are going to ask you for crazy stuff, guys, as owners. They're going to ask you for pay advances. They're going to ask you for money for things that's not even an advancement. They see that you have money and they're going to ask you for it just because you're the boss. They think that you have money, even if you have $4 in your account. Okay. So they're going to be asking for things all the time. Can you buy me this? Can you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Can I have this? Blah, blah, blah. Can you commit fraud for me? They will literally ask these things. And I just want you to keep in mind that this is just what we're going to deal with, and try not to have too emotional of a response and get all just crazy on them. How dare you, blah, blah, blah. And just straightforward say, we don't do pay advances, or no, I will not commit fraud for you. Just how can you take whatever you want to say and whittle it down to 2 sentences? Because I find a lot of times when we're emotional, we start to over explain and ramble. And I'm the biggest rambler. And this is where ChatGPT is so useful. If you want to just word vomit everything you say into it, and your anger or whatever, your self-righteousness, your indignation, pour it into ChatGPT, guys, and say, make this really, really efficient and professional to say, and whittle it down to as small as possible. And it will give you back the correct thing that you should be saying. So, gosh, what would we do without ChatGPT? Honestly, it helps us just handle ourselves a lot better. So please, before you furiously text back, just do it to ChatGPT, vent to them, and then give the proper response to this person, right? Because it's not worth it. They don't care. They don't care. Employees don't care. All right. Especially former employees. They really don't care. They owe you nothing. All right. So stop getting so emotional over them. Like, look, this is what they do. Hire number 10, Miss Ashley S. She is still with me today, and she was hired on November 29th, 2019, and she is still a cleaning technician for me today. So she is my longest cleaning technician. Obviously, April and Crystal are still with me, and they're managers. And Ashley has just been a wonderful addition, and just so hardworking and just so customer minded. And yeah, so literally out of my first 10 hires, 3 of them are still with me. And I'm really proud of that. And honestly, sometimes I can't believe it because it's like, gosh, it was, and we often fondly reminisce of, whoa, that was a shit show. What? Oh my gosh. And it's kind of like, we went through war together or something and we're bonded because of it. And we love to look at where it is now, because now it's just, it's literally a totally different company, right? It was me. I think I got an office in September or October because we had commercial. And so we got our little office that was a little shoebox. And gosh, I can't believe what these women have gone through, like with me and for me. And, they all started at $12 or $13 an hour. And obviously they all make a lot more than that now. And they're all over, at least 20 an hour. And so they've stood by me, and I've made good on the promise that I will reward your loyalty. I will reward your patience and give you so much as an employer. And that is what I've done. And I've tried to stay and abide by that promise. And I will continue to do so. And also, they have all been this inextricable part. I like to try new words that I only read. Why do I do that on the podcast? This is how we improve, right? They have been this intertwined part of Serene Clean. They are a part of Serene Clean because they have helped shape it. They were there from pretty much day one, where it's just little Stephanie just trying to figure stuff out and not knowing what the right thing is to do, but just trying to do my best by everybody and making mistakes and screwing up, but just trying my best and learning as I go and making changes and improvements as time went on. Because in that first year, it was just crazy. Like really, we're talking about, let's see, this is April to November is when I hired my first 10 people, right? And 3 of them are still here. That's just crazy. So hopefully this has been entertaining to you guys. I hope that this inspires you. Just keep hiring. You're going to find somebody. You need to get hiring in place. That's why, I'm such a fan of group interviews, especially in the beginning, because you do not have time to be individually meeting with people or getting ghosted by people. Like group interviewing is going to be such a wonderful tool for you if you are still cleaning. And really, if you are not still cleaning, it's still great because we need to have a great filtration process. We need to see lots of people. Stop reading and combing over resumes, guys. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Can they even show up to an interview? That's when I'll start considering even looking at them, frankly, because it's just stop wasting your time. Okay. There's great people out there. There's really crappy people out there. You're going to come into contact with both, but do not let the crappy ones take away your zest for this business. This is the business, is hiring. This is the business, is managing people. Okay. This is part of your role. And if you are not ready or willing to do that, stay an individual cleaner. Okay. But you know what? As an individual cleaner, you're never going to have $1 million company. You're never going to be able to live remotely if that's what you want to do. You're never going to be able to have as big of an impact. And I'm not saying that as like being an individual cleaner, that's a wonderful thing. And you can make bank, but you are physically doing the labor. So it all just depends what you want, what your long-term goals is. And so the name of the game and the price we pay if we want to grow this thing is we have to be able to handle the chaos that is staffing and to not lose our enthusiasm, to not lose what makes us good people because we're so cynical because we've gotten burned. Okay. That was that person. Don't put that on this new person. You can learn from them and see what red flags and warning signs, but a lot of times it's us, as I've described here. There was things that I absolutely was not prepared for. And it does obviously, I guess you could say I wasn't ready to hire. Are any of us there's only so much that you can do, right? And just keep learning from every bad experience and don't make the same mistake again as much as possible. So that's my first time, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave something in the comments. Give me a like. Hit that subscribe. Join the ZenMade Mastermind. Are you not there yet? Why not? We have a great time over there on Facebook. We'll link it below. And I'll see you on the next episode, guys. Bye-bye.